Hello and welcome to another exciting edition of Cool Talk. Cool Talk, as you know, is a show we're going to talk about things going on in the community, not just here in Leominster, but around the state, around the nation, or around the world. If you have something you want to talk about, give us a call or send us an email to cooltalk@comcast.net, and we'll be sure to either use your idea or get you on the show. But today we're taking the show on the road. We hopped on Route 2 westbound, and Jeff and I came up to beautiful Partridge Pond in Westminster, Mass. And today we're going to be talking with Keith Harding, host of Your Voice on Ashburnham Westminster Cable Television. It's kind of like a joint venture. Hey, Keith, how are you this morning?
I'm doing good, Mike.
Hey, we're going to, there's a lot of things going on here in Central Mass, and the fall season in Central Mass is just awesome. There's so much to do. Every weekend there's something to do. And coming up on October 24th in Westminster, we are having the first annual Westminster Cracker Festival. Now, I think that's exciting.
This is very exciting. Now, this is the first year that we've done this, okay? But this is a big, the planning's been going on for, I would say, a year, close to a year now. But we're going to have live music down there. We're going to have a chili and chowder contest. We have a beer garden, a wine garden, tasting area, and so forth. There are games for children. There are all sorts of contests. You probably noticed, did you see the decorations today? As you're coming down Main Street, the banners, it's going to be a very, very festive event.
Just some of the highlights, and you can check out the Cracker Festival. Also, it's on Facebook. Just put in Westminster Cracker Festival and it'll pop up. And it's also online. Same thing. Just Google Westminster Cracker Festival and the web page pops up. And a lot of information there. But it's Saturday, October 24th, rain or shine, 10 a.m. to 5 p.m. It's going to be at It's 10 Village Square, which if you come up into downtown Westminster as you're on Main Street, you have Vincent's Country Market is right there, and out behind Vincent's, in between, say, the Blueprint restaurant and the Angler restaurant. It's going to be in that big parking area there. There'll be tents there. And like he said, there's going to be, there's actually a Cracker 5K run and walk. There's arts and crafts, kids activities, food, farm vendors, live bands. I was counseled last night on who the bands were. I got to make sure that I mention them. Otherwise, Joe's going to be like not happy with me. The beer and wine garden. Then of course Friday is the farmers market up on Academy Hill. But some of these bands now. I'm trying to decipher some of the writing here, but Chris Lucander, 80-piece band, the Barn Favorite, the Tribe, Boston's Best, Jenny D.
And Jenny D is actually, I've seen this band before. It's like a whole band. It's not just Jenny. There's some other singers, the female singers, and I'm thinking they probably had a 5 or 6 piece band backing them up. They're really, really good. They opened for the Jay Giles Band in Fenway Park recently, within the last couple of years. They have a wonderful, very, very entertaining. I think the people will have a good time.
I think they'll have a good time. They could kind of say, if you knew Jenny like I knew Jenny. Hey, maybe they'll let me sing with them.
I'm kind of doubting that right now.
Okay, that's fine.
I think there is also a band called the Angry Debutantes, I believe.
Yep.
Is that? And they are a lot of fun. It's just fun, uplifting music. It's great music for a festival.
And this is a great time. This is a day for the whole family, young and old. Leave your dogs at home. You always have to say that to festivals because people always want to say, oh yeah, love me, love my dog. No, leave your dogs at home. And usually I say leave your kids at home, but no, it's a good place for kids. But it'll be a great time. And it's a lot of fun that the committee has put into it. One of the things is no matter where you go around the country, especially in New England, but no matter where you go, you see the Westminster crackers that, you know, go into your chowder, go into your tomato soup, and you just sit at the bar and eat them. So they have a neat little contest on there. Take a picture of your Westminster crackers, like, you know, take a selfie and send it into their Facebook page or onto their website, and, you know, you can win some prizes.
That's right. And while we have the crackers here, we can probably, Jeff probably has those right there in the shot. But we have pictures coming in kind of like this, people taking selfies. We've had people from, I think one came in from Alaska. Someone had Westminster crackers in Alaska. I seem to remember like New Mexico and California and Arizona and Texas and all kinds of places. I believe we've got something like 150 entries that have come in. So people are really getting into the spirit. They're really getting on board the whole, cracker festival theme. And before I forget, this is being presented by two of our main businesses, our iconic businesses here in Westminster, and that is Aubuchon Hardware and Wachusett Brewery, of course. And they are presenting this festival, so I wanted to make sure I get that in.
Wachusett Brewery, I think I've heard of them before. I want to get out. I want to do a show at the brewery one of these days. I got to get a hold of Ned, and we'll go down and we'll do a show down there. A chili and chowder tasting competition. What more is New England than a chili and chowder tasting competition? Now, what do people need to do, or can they still enter if they want to enter their chili or their chowder? How do they go about doing that?
No, you can't do that. Because of Board of Health regulations, okay, you're not allowed to let home cooks come in. So these chilies and chowders that'll be there, they're going to be made by, for example, I believe the Southwest Grill is one of our entries. The Angler, I believe, is an entry. The Blueprints is an entry. I believe there are 5 or 6 different restaurants that will be entering their chili or chowder, but it has to be from a commercial.
It does have to. I forgot about that. It does have to be, because that's the government getting into it once more time. We could change this show real fast to just bashing the government. We could do this real fast, Keith. But Westminster Crackers. Originally, I read some of the history on it, but when the company was originally founded, and the building is not a landmark right in downtown Westminster. If you've ever driven through Westminster, you can't miss it. It's right there, and people take pictures of it all the time. There was somebody today when Jeff and I were coming up that was out in front taking a picture of it. Sure. So I don't know whether it was for the Facebook page or what, but it's great.
Yeah, actually it says right here, if you look at these little packages of crackers, it tells you naturally good since 1828. So certainly the name is synonymous with our town, and it's a great business, long-time business.
And these crackers are great if you're having them on a Sunday morning. Just pop them in your mouth there with a nice mimosa. And they really go great, whether it's mimosas or Bloody Marys or just a Wachusett brew, whatever you want. Some of the planned events, we can go over these real quick, one by one.
Okay.
Either for me to say real quick. There's the 5K road walk, road race, managed by the G Vegas Striders and Running Club. Where's that going to be?
Okay, so if you want to participate, if the folks want to participate in this...
now, is it okay to participate, or do we need government approval for that, too?
You actually...
Sorry, I couldn't resist.
You won't need a permit. You won't need a permit to run, although I believe we did have to get some clearance for as far as the race route and so forth with the local police, but that's okay. They're working with us. Actually, I believe they're donating their time to kind of help as like ushers or general public safety for the runners.
Now, real quick, when I met somebody last night, and we were talking about the bands, and I had told them how Chief Albert was an excellent drummer, and he's been drumming for most of his life since he was 5 years old. So I told him to feel free to bring Chief Albert up out of the crowd, bring him up on stage, and I'm sure that he'd love to play a set or two.
I can't answer for the chief. I'm sorry, I can't do that. But anyway, if the people want to participate in this road race, what they're going to do is they're going to start the walkers off at 9 a.m. and then the runners will start at 9:30. There's a 5K. Everything should be done pretty close to 10 o'clock, the walkers and the runners.
And where does it go?
And you're going to start at the Cracker Factory, which is very appropriate. You can park across from the police station. There's an elementary school there. You can park over there. and come over to the Cracker Factory, and the race will start and end at the Cracker Factory. You'll be going down South Street, then up Frog Hollow, down a little bit of Noah Road, down Nichols, down by the post office, up Main Street, come right back to the Cracker Factory.
Perfect. That's a good route. And the good thing is now people are starting to do a walk also instead of just a road race, because so many people don't want to run. They can't run. They could be like me and just, I'm not going to run anyway. I just as soon drive my car. But if you can walk it, I think you get a whole lot more participation there.
Yeah, I think you're right. And I got to mention this. Every runner, you're going to get some kind of a little gift pack, and I'm not exactly sure. That's not my area on the committee, but you're going to get some kind of little goodies for participating. And also, that includes a free beverage at the end of the race. So you're entitled to a free, if you're over 21, you could enjoy a nice, refreshing Wachusett ale or something like that. Under 21, we'll be offering something, root beer, water, soda, things like that.
That almost makes me want to participate in the race. We have live music, the beer and wine garden. I'm sure that'll probably be one of your favorite tents to go to.
Well, it's actually.
I'll meet you there.
I'm going to be MC for the day, so I'll probably have to wait until kind of the tail end of the day before I visit over to the beer garden. But I do want to stop by there.
The food and craft vendors, normal types of festival food too. Will there be vendors with like the fried dough, cotton candy, that type stuff, or we're just going to keep it with local restaurants?
No, actually, there's going to be cotton candy. I think there's a hot dog truck there, maybe popcorn and that kind of thing. I'm not sure about fudge, that kind of country kind of stuff. But you also have right there, you've got the angler, which I know is a favorite of yours. You've got Blueprints. They're right there at the festival. You've got Dunkin' Donuts there. You've got the Subway shop right there. All these are basically on site. Their businesses are right at the festival. And there may be some other foods there that, again, it's not particularly my area of the committee, but there'll be a nice selection. No one's going to go away hungry.
There'll be plenty of food. What else we got? Cracker Character Scarecrows. Main Street will be lined with scarecrows, I understand.
Yes. We're going to have scarecrows. We're also going to be decorating all the telephone poles. We'll be doing that decorating probably a couple of weeks before the festival. But there'll be nice corn stalks and nice fall ribbons. It's going to have that whole beautiful fall in New England look. Little New England town. It's going to be beautiful.
Participate and make a scarecrow and participate?
I'm not exactly sure about that.
Yeah, the answer to that question is yes.
Okay.
I checked on that one last night. Yeah, you can still enter them in. There's a date on the website, but yeah, you can still enter them in. Sorry to put you in the spot like that one.
I'm glad you knew. I'm glad that you knew.
There's also going to be an area there, great, not just for the kids, but some demonstrations for wood carving, pumpkin carving, candle making, stuff like that. Pumpkin carving is an art. Anybody can just carve into a pumpkin. You cut the top off, you got it, and all that, just, like it was a deer or something. But to really, if you get somebody that's really good with a pumpkin, it's great. People can make all sorts of great designs out of a pumpkin. And I mean, we get our pumpkins down at Wildwood Farm every year. Thousands and thousands of pumpkins that Gretchen has over there. But it'll be interesting to see that. I might even learn how to carve a pumpkin this year.
Well, that would be good. You're right, though, about
Usually I just stick a knife in it and walk
Yeah,
away.
it's like the old days. I don't know. You probably remember. I mean, old school. You made like 2 holes for the eyes, a hole for the nose, and you made a mouth, and that was it. And now they make these. They look like Abraham Lincoln. They've got sunsets. They've got wolves. They've got all kinds of crazy things.
Wood carving, a big a art that's dying, I think. A lot of people don't do wood carving anymore. When you see some of the older guys that have been doing carving wood for 40, 50, 60 years, and it's an art. It's truly an art, trying to do anything like that.
Yeah, and actually, I'm not exactly sure about this, but I think it's one of our craft vendors that's going to be doing that demonstration. And I've seen some of the work that they do. Absolutely beautiful. These turned bowls from cherry and these other native hardwoods, maple, these, you know, beautiful woods, and they really can bring the life out of the woods in the work that they do.
That sounds so magical. It brings the life right out of the woodwork. You're like a poet, Keith. And again, this all started, let's see, it started one night years back around a friend's kitchen table. They talked about how great it would be to have your own festival in a town that's always been close to the community with a wonderful, vibrant center. The question became, what would be the theme? I should have read this at the beginning. But either way, the answer became obvious. The iconic 1824 red building in the town center is what Westminster is really known for, other than, of course, Partridge Pond, one of the most scenic places on earth.
We are today.
And the sun rises and sets on Partridge Pond. It really does. Where else can you go and have such a scenic, beautiful location here? Tell us a little bit about Partridge Pond. I know that you love this pond. You've been here over 20 years. I grew up on this pond. My family first bought their house on this pond back in 1961. But I know you know a lot about this place. Tell us a little bit about Partridge Pond.
Well, it's small. The total area of Partridge Pond is 23 acres. The part that we use is only about 18 acres. The very back part is rather shallow and there's a lot of weeds, and we leave that for habitat. We leave that for the, you know, nice comfortable place for the turtles and that kind of thing. The herons live back there, and it's just left natural for the animals. And then for the rest of the pond, of course, we like animals in the rest of the pond as well, but that part we actually treat so that we can keep the weeds under control, and that's used for swimming and boating, and you know, you see the paddle boats and the canoes, and what a beautiful thing on a summer evening when it's 70 degrees and somebody's going by in their paddle boat. Somebody else has the canoe enjoying their beer after work as they just kind of float along. It's enchanting.
Now, a couple of tales out of school. One is growing up, at one point we shortened the rope on the tow line for water skiing, and we shortened it down to about 20 feet long, and I was the guinea pig that was going to be water skiing, and my brother Tom would normally we went around the main body of the lake around the pond, but then he'd tow me up into what we used to call the swamp, and we'd go up and, you know, and where we shortened the rope, I could stay up. You know, I'd sink a little bit, but I could still stay up while he made the turn, because it has to be a tight turn. He'd get me back out. So after he did it 2 or 3 times and I was comfortable with it, the next time he did it and just cut the engine and let me sink. Sink.
Into the mud.
And like he said, it's only about 3 or 4 feet deep up there. Yeah, I was knee deep. I still haven't forgiven him. I still haven't. But, you know, in the wintertime, freezes salt. Oh, man, some of the stories in the wintertime, people used to drive their car out there. One day my friend drove her car out there, came up and banged on the side of the house, and she didn't realize that my mother was there. Oh, boy, was that ugly. But so much stuff that goes on in Westminster, and I know you're like an ambassador for the town, because this is a great town. We have, you know, like say the ponds, whether it's a Partridge Pond, Wyman's Pond, the Country Club, Academy Hill, the VFW, the park behind the VFW. There's so much always going on here in Westminster.
Always. It's almost like, I think of living in Westminster as almost like living on vacation. As you mentioned, you have 2 beautiful golf courses in town. You've got mountain skiing. You've got the hiking. It really is, we should have a lot more tourism than we do, I think, because of the town has so much to offer. And we have some beautiful restaurants, as you know. You've sampled some of our restaurants. Very famous is the Old Mill. I think the people from all over New England know about the Old Mill.
Down by the old mill stream, not the river but the stream.
So it's a wonderful place.
It really is. If you haven't been to Westminster, you got to get up here. But check out the Cracker Festival. Again, it's going to be on Saturday, October 24th, rain or shine. It's going to be a great time. Volunteers are still needed. If you want to volunteer, you don't even have to live in town. You can come out of town and volunteer and just get a taste of what this beautiful country living is about and what a real true country festival is about. How would people volunteer, and what type of volunteers do you need?
Okay, great. Thank you for asking that question. So, if you want to volunteer, folks, you can go to our Facebook page, and that's Westminster Cracker Festival. So go to Facebook, Westminster Cracker Festival, or you can go to our website, and our website is crackerfestival.com. And you can get details there on how to sign up. We're generally looking for people to volunteer for 1 or 2 hour shifts. We realize that most people can't devote an entire day. So 1 or 2 hour shifts. There'll be things like probably helping with the parking, maybe showing people where to park. There may be help as far as maybe helping us keep up with things like just emptying the trash, making sure that the trash barrels get dumped into the dumpster every so often. There may be help needed with some of the children's activities. These I'm not exactly sure, but if you go on to the site or the Facebook page, then you'll get details of what's needed, and maybe you can volunteer an hour or two of their time.
Yeah, I think that there was a good section of it on the website on crackerfestival.com. There was a good section there, but yeah, it's volunteers and for simple stuff. It's could be emptying the trash, could be picking up the parking lots, could be watching the kids heading into the bounce houses, parking. Public safety, helping people. Well, I'm sure the police department will be helping people across the street, but all sorts of different things, because it takes a lot of people to make these festivals a success. And you might go and you see and say, well, this is easy. This place went off without a hitch, because the volunteers do such a good job, and there's nothing better than a volunteer. Volunteers are better than paid employees any day of the week, because their heart is in it. They're not in it for a paycheck. Their heart's in it. So volunteerism is the best thing in the world.
And another thing, we'll probably need people before and after the festival. And just recalling from what goes on at our town benefit, there are a lot of things that need to be done just prior in the setup, and then of course right after the festival in taking down. So if there's anyone that wants to volunteer before 10 o'clock or after 5 o'clock, I'm sure that help is going to be much.
Yeah, after the festival is important, because it's like Christmas dinner. Everybody shows up and they all want to help out put the potatoes and the onions and the stuffing on the table, but once dinner's done, everybody bails and just leaves one person to do the cleanup. It's the same thing after the festival. It's so important because there are businesses in that area that have to get back to doing business. So the tents have to come down, the tables have to be moved, the chairs have to be packed up, the barrels need to be moved, the parking lot needs to be picked up. So there's a lot that goes into it. So please, if you can get out there, just half hour, 45 minutes afterwards, when you're done, go into the Blueprint of the Angle, grab a beer, and you're in good shape. So I think we covered a lot about the festival.
Well, I just one more thing about the festival. We've got some nifty promotional products that are going to be available. And so, for example, you see these really cool Westminster Cracker Festival mugs. You'll be able to, people will be able to buy. You can be able to buy one of these, folks. Okay.
Keith, the perfect shill for the Cracker Festival.
There are also going to be shirts, though. We were looking the other night at our meeting, and they had variations on the shirts. There were T-shirts. There were long-sleeve T-shirts. There are sweatshirts. And these say Westminster Cracker Festival. It's a beautiful crest over here, little picture of the building and all that kind of stuff. On the back, names of all of our sponsors. So these products will all be available for sale. And, oh, by the way, the reason we're having this is a dual reason for having this festival. Number one, this festival is a way for us to give back to the businesses in Westminster, okay? Because we always go to the businesses and they help us support the booster clubs for the kids' sports. They support the Boy Scouts, the Girl Scouts, all these different things that go on in town. And we say, we want to draw people to town that want to patronize some of our fine businesses here in Westminster.
And it's funny you say that, because with dining out in Central Mass, we're all about keeping it local, and everything is local. And honestly, even for the two major sponsors, Wachusett Brewery and Aubuchon Hardware, as big of companies as they are, they're still a local company, and they've never lost their local roots, their local beliefs. So, you know, we want to thank everybody that helped make the festival happen. I want to thank you, Keith, and the entire committee that made it happen, because I love to travel to festivals. Tracy loves coming out to the festivals, and I'll make sure that I'm taking the day off that day from work just so I can hang out at the festival.
Well, happy to hear that.
Jeff, I want to thank you very much for taking us on the road today, coming up and doing this show from scenic Partridge Pond in beautiful Westminster, Mass. We just drove by the beautiful Moonlight Lodge down the road, and that Christy is remodeling the Moonlight Lodge that's been there since I was a kid, and that's a beautiful spot. So get up, get off the couch, get out of the house, do something, enjoy the fall season. There's so many things to do. Go apple picking, pumpkin carving, check out Academy Hill. And I think we're just about done. Support your local police department. They're there to help you out. And I think we're going to wrap it up here on Cool Talk. Jeff, are we ready to fade to black? Okay, that's great. So until next week, folks, please don't forget, every veteran is somebody's hero. Don't forget the vet. We'll see you next time right here on Cool Talk.
All right.